today we're interviewing Samuele Landi, who's been living on the sea for the past year. You can check out his site and project at AI island.io. It's AISLAND.io. Their floating city project can be found at floatingcity.aisland.io. So many questions as we're diving into this floating city project you're currently undertaking. Why don't you start by telling us a little bit about the project?
Well, I started to think about the project many years ago, maybe 7, 8 years ago. I started to make some design because the idea was to make a cryptocurrency mining using solar panels, offshore, etc. And then slowly we moved forward. We made a long process to select. We looked for vessel. We looked for supply vessel, different kind of solution. At the end, we find what we think is a better solution, a cheaper solution is a barge, which is very wide compared to any kind of vessel, very stable. And so we are testing it from 1 year, and living on the barge from 1 year exactly, more than 1 year. And so till now we had a lot of problems. We found a lot of issues, but it's part of the experience also to have to make something wrong and to understand what is going on.
It's good. It's good to get your hands dirty and figure out what doesn't work. That's the way. I love how SpaceX did through its trial and error. Was not afraid to just get its hands dirty and just do stuff and then make mistakes and learn from that. And now they supply 80% of the world's launches to outer space. That's impressive. So this agile approach is definitely the way to go. The barge was so you've been living on this barge for a year now. This barge was originally going to be you basically got it. You bought it for scrap price, but you're able to, because of the nature of the barge, because it has multiple containers, you're able to patch up any holes and stuff that as it goes along. Are you patching the minimum holes as they appear, or are you covering the entire large sections with new paneling? And the plan is eventually to resurface the entire barge with new steel plates and basically continually renew it over time so that it can stay out there indefinitely? Or are you thinking about replacing the barge after 5 years, or what's your long-term strategy or hopes?
Yeah, what we are doing now, we are patching what are the issues that we are finding. Some part we are replacing completely what we can do inside. Basically, if you have water inside one compartment, we search to remove the water at the maximum level by pumping the water with electric pump. And even if the water stay there for 1 meter, half meter, we can still work there because we learn how to weld underwater with very simple welding stick and welding rods. And I had to study to do that because I didn't have this experience, but at the end it was a very nice experience. So we can weld from inside or from outside. Inside has such a certain kind of dangers because when you weld underwater, you produce explosive gas, which is hydrogen and oxygen together. So you must ventilate a lot of the environment to avoid that you have an explosion inside the place. If you weld from outside, it's a little bit more difficult because you are in a scuba diving suit and you have to fight with the current, the tidal waves, etc. So it's more comfortable to weld from inside than outside, frankly. So the main part we are trying to do from inside.
And the fact that you guys learned how to do underwater welding is very impressive. There are very few people in the world, I've come to understand, that actually can do underwater welding. So that's an impressive feat.
But it was a need because otherwise we are sinking. So we had to buy the equipment and say, okay, start to weld because it was not going so well initially because the barge is quite old, so it's getting the damage. Yeah.
How thick of steel plates are you using?
2 centimeters plates. Yeah.
2 centimeters.
The standard is 2 centimeters. And some places we use H-bar to reinforce the structure where there's too much rust. We put a double bar. But my friend, who has a lot of experience, explain me how to make extreme extreme loading of the barge at the side and change the plate. He sent me even a video because he did on his own barge, completely in the water, but he was raising the barge at the side, completely outside, the one side, cutting the plate and put a new plate, put a new plate. He
Wow.
made a new barge completely on the water. So, okay, I think it's cool.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
I imagine getting at the very bottom part of the barge is the hardest to get to. If there's ever a leak or a hole down there, I imagine
Yeah,
that's the.
it's quite common to have some leak on the floor or a little bit on the side. But this guy what made load a lot of water on the side, so the barge become almost vertical. So he changed completely the plate. So I say, okay, but for now we are not doing this kind of acrobacy. So we are just patching what
And,
is
and for that, you
necessary.
need to have at least two barges. You live on one, and the other ones you're repairing. You don't want to live on that while it's doing that.
No, you cannot.
Are your barges right? Your container, your shipping containers, are they welded in place or bolted in place, or are
No,
they just sitting on there?
no, they are bolted in place. Initially, we put a chain together to be connected, but now we put the bolt because on the deck we have a big sock of concrete, armored concrete. So we bolt over there. And plus, we keep always still a link on the ground to keep a double security. But they are not moving too much. We had even 4 meters of waves last year in the winter. So the container didn't move 1 centimeter because at the end the stability of the barge is quite impressive. Even my wife is living with me since from more than 1 month now. She's comfortable with the movement, with the shaking of this kind of vessel. So she's not
And
an expert sailor, so she's not used to.
and you guys are on the barge right now. This is one of
Yeah,
the containers right
yeah,
now.
yeah. This is one of the containers. There is my son here that came to visit us. Yeah, there is my wife.
No,
Yeah, we have
I love
a
it.
new rack. We made a new rack today.
That is awesome. That's a
Yeah,
that's a tiny
but
home.
now it's dark. I cannot show you, but okay.
No, the idea of taking a container and turning it into living space. In America, we have a movement called the tiny home movement, where they take basic containers and turn them into various living spaces. And that's not a tiny home; that's a big home. But that's what they call it. They call it the tiny homes. Um,
Yeah, I've seen. I
that's
follow
something
a lot of tutorial online about how to make accommodations and containers. So I try to make it the best.
when you apply the steel plates on the outside, how are you able to protect the plates from corrosion? Is there a way to actually um, paint them or apply anything to them, or are they just kind of exposed?
No, underwater they are not rusting. The problem is that this iron that is underwater is not rusting at all. You get a lot of let's say oysters, a lot of life thriving on that, but it's not rusting. The problem is that you are getting rust inside where there is a humidity, and the inside part is very rusty now. But there are treatment to use for that to limit. And the plus, you have to replace periodically some zinc part that are using the rusting.
The
That's a,
sacrificial anode.
yeah, another, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a standard system. But I read also other solutions. They are specific paint to limit the rusty. They say they will last 30 years. I think that a new barge should be prepared in a different way of this one. You should not. You should keep better of this one because this one has been used to transport stones and sand very roughly. So they didn't take care like you should take care if you buy a new barge, for example.
So, how long are you hoping that this barge will last? And is your long-term plan to move over to another barge like every 5 years or so, or 10 years, or 20 years, or how long are you hoping to
No,
make one last?
frankly, I planning to make a new barge at least with motors, not without motors, motorized, because we had this experience. We had a tugboat, a quite old tugboat, but during the storm, the tugboat sank because it's a small vessel in the middle of the sea with big waves. It cannot survive. 20 meters vessel, more than 120 tons. It's not, it was not so small, but when the waves are bigger, the troubles arise. And the barge
Small compared to the barge.
exactly. No, the barge is huge. 72 meters by 20 is really huge. And the barge we are planning to go in is 4 times bigger. Should be something like 134 meters, wide 40 meters, which give you much more stability than what we have right now, which is
That is
really
awesome.
great. It's really great. And we are speaking about barge because they are the cheapest option for seasteading, not because we like barge. We prefer to have a big cruise ship for ourselves alone, but it costs
What are the
$100 million.
maintenance costs of living on that barge? The repairs and so forth. How much are you spending? You bought the barge initially for $100,000 or $200,000.
$200,000, about 200,000. Poi I spend some money, registration, flag, and then the port I was spending too much money, more than $1,000 per day. Sorry, per month. Between crew, port expense was crazy. So last year I said, okay, let's finish, load everything, and we go outside. And we went outside, having nothing here. I came here with a sailing boat, but the same boat was impossible to stay because there was so big waves. It was bouncing like a washing machine. So I stayed here sleeping on the floor of a container, and we started to build all the stuff from zero. We
That's
didn't,
awesome.
because we are thinking to build in the port, but the expenses were so high for no reason.
And
Even when you
your
had to take
classification.
something inside the port, you had to pay taxes. Document, customs, procedure. It's impossible to stay in the port.
The classification you're using for it is a
Accommodation barge.
accommodation barge.
Yes, accommodation barge. Yes.
And you have it flagged with Liberia. How difficult was it getting that whole registration process and getting the flag process? And how much would a person expect to spend to go through that process? Liberia sounds like the best flagging nation to do this.
Yeah, Liberia is quite easy. The key part is to have a classification certificate, because the flag use the classification certificate to give you the registration. They don't look at the technical issue. They want only classification. The classification society must be part of a club, which is called the Ajax Club. This is where the club is where you find the best classification society in the world, the best 20 in the world, because they want to keep the level of the flag high level, so the vessel with the Liberian flag can go everywhere in the world, like it is right now. So the key part is to have a classification of the barge. But if you buy standard barge or standard vessel, usually they are already classified. So you have only to get a new inspection and get the new certificate, that will be valid for a certain number of years. It depends on the condition. They will say it's valid for 10 years or 5 years or 1 year because it's very bad. Or they will say oh no, you have to fix this stuff, and then we can make it a classification certificate.
And how much does that classification, the recertification cost? Like
Maybe
$1,000, $10,000, or $100?
no, maybe something like $3,000-$4,000, and the flag is the same, something like $5,000 per year. It's not super expensive. It
So
depends on
5,000.
the weight of the vessel. The cost is on the weight, on the dead weight. So that means that this barge is about 800 tons. If you have a bigger barge, you spend much more because it's based on the tons. But it's not super expensive. Liberia, Panama, they are very often used because they are not asking too much money.
That's awesome. Okay, so with a possible, you're planning to take this out to the, I skipped ahead, sorry. You're using Starlink for internet.
Yes.
As a fellow developer, I love the potential of having this internet anywhere. How well has the service been out there?
It's amazing service. I have 2 satellite services. One is Turaya, which is a very low bandwidth, but our shoe was working. Starlink was not sure that it was working because I never tested. I used a land device, not a marine device, but it's still working very well. And when you make a speed test, which is more or less valid, it's giving you 300 megabytes of speed, which is even better of my house, frankly.
Oh, that's awesome. And this is we're having this conversation right now over Starlink.
Yeah,
so
of course.
that's
Yeah, sure. Use
great quality.
that's amazing part because I'm a coder, so I'm working from remote. For me, it's very important to have very good internet connection. Otherwise, I can work properly.
And
And
at my house, I have a local service provider and Starlink. I switch between two of them if there's ever a problem. Occasionally, Starlink will have a couple of times where there might be some hiccups, where you might have a couple of points where it's not connecting because you're still putting satellites out there, so it's still a work in progress. But all in all, it's very impressive. I'm very happy with it.
yeah,
Um,
on the sea, you have to pay more compared to the land, but you have a higher priority, so the service is better.
so tell me about what you do for your living right now. You got a grant from the Web3 Foundation. You got a Web3 Foundation grant and you do the Doc Sig DAP work.
Yeah,
Did I say it right?
no, I'm a coder from 40 years, so I'm making a consultancy for different kind of company, and then we have our own company making a secure phone, encrypted phones for secure communication. And plus, we have a VPN application that is giving us a good amount of money every month for many years. On my side, I'm making services for different kind of companies, and plus my sons are making the main coders of AI Land in this moment. I helping them when it's necessary, but to
That,
code
that,
for them, yeah.
this setup is like the ideal setup. I love it. It's like every developer's dream to be able to take their work anywhere and just be remote and have all that set up there. Um, um, how much? If it's okay to ask, how much does that pay per year? How much do you earn per year? Like, what kind of income does a person need to have to make this pay for this to go on a go forward basis?
Yeah,
To be able to sustain themselves.
we have 4 people as crew. That 3 are making maintenance and building the other stuff, and 1 is working as a cook for everybody. They are from Asia, so they are spending about $1,500 for everybody. Are not too much expensive, frankly. And they are kind guys. Every year they go home, so we switch the crew recently because they make a 1-year contract. They want to go home because they have their own family, of course.
Yep.
And so we have to spend money for maintenance, let's say paint, etc. You should have a budget of at least $5,000 per month to between crew, food for everybody, and small maintenance. If you have a special case, you have to spend more. So you must have a good income to maintain a place like this. But when I was renting the house in Dubai, I was spending $10,000 per month. So for now, it's cheaper. It's not a villa like before, but I'm spending less.
That's awesome. It, you're currently keeping a low profile. You're inside the EEZ of an undisclosed country, but your plan is to move to the sections of the Saya de Mala, I hope I pronounced the right bank, that are outside the exclusive economic zone. When people ask you why you're planning on living outside the exclusive economic zone, why that's important, what do you tell them?
But it's you want to live a full freedom from every government, any kind of government, every influence. You must stay outside any exclusive economic zone. Otherwise, you cannot make what you wish. Inside the exclusive economic zone, you cannot even catch fish. Of course, no one is complaining if you catch one fish for it, but if you want to catch fish for selling, you cannot. You must have a license, and so on. So you should only go through the exclusive economic zone. You should not stay for a long time. And so for us, for the moment, they are tolerating us, but we cannot stay forever.
Do you run across people a lot of times who get confused between the 12 nautical mile zone and the 200 nautical mile zone?
Yeah, there are a lot of confusion. There are 12 miles is the limit of territorial waters. You are inside the country. Between 12 and 24, you are outside, but you are in a band of respect. They can come to you and check for a certain reason, custom reason, health reason, or even any kind. They can check on you.
Contiguous zone, yeah.
Exactly. After 24, you are in a proper zone, but we are still in an exclusive economic zone till 200 or maybe a different limit, because some places there are not 200 miles between the two countries, so usually it's divided in the middle. So, but the problem doesn't change. You stay in one country or the other country. So I think that for seasteaders, the key part is stay outside any exclusive economic zone.
And it's surprising that most seasteading projects are not actually planning to be outside the exclusive economic zone, which I'm very surprised by that, because if you want freedom, you really need to be outside that. In the United Nations Convention of the Law of the Sea, it actually specifically says that the coastal nation has authority to regulate all floating vessels, which means if you're a seastead inside the exclusive economic zone, they can regulate you. And regulate means whatever they want to mean. So they can pass whatever rules they want and make your life really complicated until you're outside of it.
Yeah, the thing is that if you have a Liberian flag, they cannot come on board. They must get authorization from the embassy of Liberia, okay, in the country where they are coming from. And in my experience, they came here, Coast Guard, to see what they are doing there, asking, but they didn't come on board. I asked them, if you want to come, please come. They say, no, we cannot. So they ask if you need help, etc. But at the end, I think that the key part is maybe you are in a different place and the Coast Guard is more aggressive. They push you away. It depends on the place.
Have you run into any pirates or any kind of dangerous characters out there yet?
No, not yet. But going to Guatemala, we have to purchase weapons, because you can hold weapons legally outside. You have the right to defend, because Somali pirates are going around more than before. They are coming back because the problem with Yemen, etc. So you must be ready to defend yourself if you stay outside. That's also the reason that I would like to have to cooperate with other seasteaders to make a small community and cooperate in defense mainly, because even trading, of course, but everything can be nice. Keeping your own freedom, but at the same time having the opportunity to help each other, I think, just in case of need.
And when are you hoping to move out to the bank?
But this year we are preparing everything to move with this barge or another barge. We can even move with this barge. We can even decide to move with this one. To go there, you must have food and spare parts for at least 6 months, because being at 200 miles means it will be very expensive to have supplies. So you must prepare your plan, all your stuff very well, and be ready. Otherwise, you can incur in excessive expenses that are not really necessary.
Are you planning on contracting with some kind of small container ship or a feeder ship to basically do like monthly or weekly runs to your location to provide supplies and so forth? Or do you already have that set up right now where you currently are?
No, we plan to rent a small container ship, but not every week. It will be every 3 months, because otherwise it will be expensive. One container ship like that will cost $30,000 to reach us and come back. So it must be reasonable. If you have a charter, of course, if you buy your, let's say, supply vessel, you can use your supply vessel. You spend only diesel, what you need. But at the same time, they are expensive stuff. So you must have.
Now, did you say 3,000 or 300,000, 30,000? What did you say?
30,000.
30,000. Okay, 30,000.
Yeah, more or less. Yeah, because they are very slow. They move to 5 knots, and they will take so many hours. They will charge you per hour, the crew, the diesel, and the usage of the vessel. It is expensive.
That was one of the reasons why we were looking at the South Bay of Bengal, is because we're on the major shipping lanes, and the idea is that we could hope to convince a container ship that happens to be going by to have an extra container or two or a dozen or whatever it is, and then they would just take a half-hour stop on the way over there because we'd be right on their path, and they just stop over, take it off, and then they'd be on their way again, and make it economical for them. If that would
Maybe
work out.
you should try. I'm curious to know the result because my experience on that was very bad because people are they have their own trip, they don't want to stop, they are afraid that you are a pirate, or they don't. Very often they are not allowed to make a trash shipping because they can be in trouble because people, oh, you are redirecting some stuff, because there are sanctions from US. Maybe you're in an area that people say, oh, yeah, this container, the destination was, let's say, Europe. Instead, you move to another ship, a small ship, and go to Iran. That's the way they
And
also redirect. So they're afraid of that.
are they
Yeah.
so okay? So they have to have a special feeder just because the destination of the container is different than another port. Anytime you're going to something other than a port, it has to be like a one-off kind of thing. It has to be
Yeah,
a custom trip.
yeah, it will be a problem if the container does not have a destination, a port as destination, because all the
Mhm.
traffic transit port to port. You are not a port, you are a different situation. So that we had a lot of problem. Initially, we stay almost 1 month without supplies. We had only 1 week of food. We had to manage different way. It was difficult to get supplies even here.
Wow.
So because you know the world is working different way. They don't know that there are people that want to live, want to stay on the sea forever. Maybe in sometimes you can convince someone.
Um, have you uh, have you the Saya de Mala Bank is very fascinating. Are you aware of any other scientific expeditions out to that location since Wolf Hilbert's March 2002 expedition? They state that the area is avoided by ship and traffic is a hazard to navigation because of uncharted coral reefs and undiscovered shoals. The area sounds like a place that has both danger and great potential. What precautions are you taking to have your barge? Like, how far away from, like, are you bringing along any bathymetric equipment to actually scan out what's below you, or have you already looked at the area? Do you have an idea of how deep of the water you want it? Because it ranges from coming to the surface to 2 kilometers deep. What kind of location is ideal for you at the barge?
But a good location for me is for one single barge, a place where you can put anchor. So 20 meters depth, 10 meters, 7 meters is good. The minimum depth inside the mouth, what I know, is 7 meters. Our barge has a draft right now because we are very light, 1 meter. So we have no problem to stay even in 7 meters or 10 meters. The point is that if you can put the anchor, you save energy to reposition, because if you are drifting, you have sometimes to reposition, to spend energy. Being a tanker, it allows you to use some generator from the waves, from the tidal current, and so on. If you stay at anchor, it's easier to stay at anchor, frankly.
Do you have a wave, not a wave generator, a wave uh, energy? What's it called? A wave energy collector that converts the wave energy into
No,
electricity?
we don't have, but we have a design to make it quite simple. We can connect at the side of the barge. You can put one under each side. So, like instead of
That's nice.
having a wind generator, use this part because the water is much stronger, and you don't need it to have a big turbine to bend.
In
Yeah.
in a bad storm out there, how big could the waves get out in the Saya de Mala area? I mean, are we talking about 5 meter waves at the high end, or
But for what I read, it's 5 meters waves. But I'm looking every day what are the situation there in terms of waves. Since it's the area where we want to go is about 4 degrees minus the equator. Should be an area where they don't have cyclones or hurricane going because they born there. You have very often some thunderstorms because it's raining quite often, and that's the situation. But the key part for me, as she said, is to have a place where the waves are not reaching 20 meters because it become trouble.
The North, anything, the North Sea is definitely a no-no. Anytime people talk about, that's a disaster area. So if the waves go up and down 5 meters and you're in like 7 meters of waves, 7 meter deep coral, and your boat has like, let's say, a 4 meter draft, then you need to be in a deeper area during the
Yeah.
storms to make that. How deep can you anchor? How deep is would a typical anchor that you would have for that barge be? 20 meters, 100 meters?
No, you can anchor up, let's say, easily 70 meters. You must be prepared with a long chain because you must have 3 times the depth at least.
Yeah.
Even better if it's longer. If it's longer, it's better because otherwise the barge will be like just a little bit down. And for your stability and to avoid that you drag the anchor, it's better that it's very long the chain. You can mix it with chain and rope, but the chain is the best because it's more stronger. You don't have problem with that. And we had experience on that. And initially, our consultant was saying that the 500 kilograms of anchor was enough. And my friend, who has more experience of everybody, said, "What? Buy an anchor that is at least 5 tons with chain long 300 meters. Otherwise, I will see you in the beach." He was right, because even with the four tons and half, we dragged 70 miles. 70 miles. We dragged it
Wow,
70 miles. We dragged it at the same
that's a lot.
time.
um, that we were looking into for our project, getting bathymetric equipment, so we can actually scan the base. Like we found some that we got a quote from one place that's, it's like 100, it's like $160,000 to get the bathymetric, full bathymetric equipment to be able to do sonar and scanning and so forth. Do you guys have any kind of sonar ability to be able to do any kind of mapping, how deep something is, or just a
Yeah,
typical stuff you find on ships?
yeah. I have a sonar, a full sonar, perfectly working on the sailing boat, and it's very cheap compared to what they are saying.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
it's a
all the
professional one
yeah,
for
yeah,
mapping.
of course. No, this is not mapping. It's just show you the depth and the fish. You see everything. But I think because we, at least for us, we always has a constraint on the budget. So we didn't move with plenty of money. So we had only to invent something to save money in one way or the other.
That makes sense. On page 14 of your website's brochure, you mark a section of the western um, side of the bank. Do you already have a specific spot kind of picked out on the bank, or is it that just kind of a general?
No, I think we should stay 250 miles from Mauritius because they claim till that point, because there are small sandy islands over there at the level, and they are dispute between Mauritius and UK, United Kingdom. On this, but we must stay at north of that side, which is even better for us. It's less stormy, less subject to cyclones, hurricanes, etc. So when we are outside that point, is okay.
Have you have you identified any coral or sea banks in that area that actually come up out of the water?
No, I didn't identify one specific. It's very big. It's big like a country. If you see the bank,
Yeah,
it's super
huge.
big. We were thinking to stay on the side, not in the center, plus at the side, because we have an idea also to make aquaculture, grow kelp, seaweeds, to gain, carbon credit on that part, which is one of the possible business you can do. But you must be nearby the deep part of the sea, because if the kelp stay on the shallow, the carbon will go back in the system. If they go deep in the deep sea, the carbon will be stored for thousands of years. So the idea stay just at the border and make also this kind of business one of the possible business.
That makes sense. Um, So at the end of the day, the whole point of this is to live with a higher level of socioeconomic freedom than we have in the world today. Um, on your websites, frequently asked questions part, you mentioned that under islands rules, you mentioned that the rules will be only for a few people. The rules will be only for a peaceful coexistence of the residents, always keeping the personal freedom as a high priority. Have you do you have any specific rules or drafts that you guys have written out of what you think that might look like?
Yeah, we try to write something, but at the end I prefer to start slowly. You know, a small community can start a very simple, friendly way. When the community grows, probably you have to write more rules. But the key part is that if you are libertarians, like we are all, you want your freedom finish when the freedom starts the freedom of the others. So that's
Yep.
the key point. I respect your property, I respect your person. You do the same with me, we are in peace. Finish. uh,
What what I what I've noticed has been the issue is when people disagree on what is force, what is violence against each other. Like for example, I eat meat. I love cheeseburgers. If I had someone else that thought that me killing a cow and eating it is murder, then and if they said, okay, well, if you're killing that cow, I can defend that cow and stop you, and because you're using force against that cow, and therefore you're committing murder, and I can stop you. And there's a disagreement about force. I That's one of the reasons why in the Freedom Haven project we actually wrote down when we say these words, what do we mean?
yeah,
Murder, we're talking about people.
I,
Animals and property, things like that.
I agree that maybe better to have rules. At the same time, I don't want to make rules that are not shareable with everybody. From my point of view, I prefer to start like this and then adapt the situation, the rules of what the society will become. We are five. The rules, what are the rules? Okay, international laws. You respect me, you respect your property, we go on. There is no problem. I understand that you are coming from a country where some people are crazy. They become crazy each other. So, but
Yeah,
frankly, I think that they will not come to be in a systemic place, that people have no place with us. If you want, we are selective. At the end, we have people that think like us. I don't think that crazy people will reach us because they want to impose me that I cannot eat a cheeseburger or something like that. But I agree on your side that you say, okay, I seen that you made the constitution. It's good. Even Liberland, I have Liberland, you know them. They have a huge constitution. They have laws defined. They have a democracy. But no, I'm okay with everything. But for my side, on the barge where I'm living, I prefer to start more open.
yeah, that I understand that. Is there anything before we close the interview? Is there anything else you'd like to add, or other areas of the project that you'd like to share with everyone?
Yeah, we made a lot of errors. So I will write. We started just a project to write a book about our experiences as steaders, suggesting something, even mainly based on the errors that we did already. For example, we bought, backup generator from China. It was looking good, powerful, etc. And but it didn't work. It was money trashed completely. I had to buy a branded generator, small, from Honda. Very good. They last forever. So that's
From who?
from Honda. You know, it's a
Hold
Japanese
on.
brand, Honda. Yeah. And
Ah,
other things. We had a crane here to move the stuff from the boat, etc. And I had the brilliant idea to buy a spider crane that you can move with and put down the leg and raise. Okay. And even my friend said, "Oh, maybe good, okay, in the West, etc." But it lasted 1 week, finished the water.
that's too
So
bad.
I mean, if you buy a crane, fix a tool with a lot of stuff. Don't move it.
Yeah, that's I, have you lost a lot of stuff into the water since you've been there? Because that's the biggest fear. You don't want to. Every time I walk on the cell phone, I'm close to the water. I'm like, I bring the cell phone away. I don't want to lose it, drop it in their laptop, thing like that. Have you
No,
lost a lot of stuff in the water there?
no, not a lot of stuff. We lost the tugboat and we lost the crane. Other stuff we didn't lost. And
Those are pretty sad.
my sailing boat is evilly damaged because 1 year in the open sea, and now we are going to rent a crane, put on, we repair the sailing boat, which is connected to the barge.
How much are you getting a crane for?
But a crane will cost, well, I don't know, depends on the price they will make. But we are getting a supply of iron, steel, some furniture that we had in the house. So I'm using a plus. I'm getting also. I will use the crane to put the sailing boat on board and repair it in some months.
How many tons? What kind of how many tons of lifting capacity would that crane have?
The
You're
the
looking at.
crane has 100 tons of capacity, but the sailing boat is only
Oh wow.
8 tons. Yeah, it's a small barge with the crane on board, but they can raise a lot. Yeah.
Do you have a Does your barge have swaying issue when you move the crane back and forth? Does the barge swing back and forth with that? Do you have a counterbalance issues?
No, if you have this kind of work, you should make when the weather is not bad. Otherwise, you have
Oh
troubles. You have something going like this. You have one barge bouncing and the other barge bouncing, so it becomes crazy.
yeah, that'd be bad. Yeah, well, thank you so much for your time. This has been very, very helpful. How can our listeners learn more about this project?
But we are keeping well updated our media channel, which is in news.aisland.io. We are publishing article, what we are doing, etc. And then I republish on my Twitter account and Facebook account, just just that. And let's see. We are trying to cooperate with everybody that likes like the idea of seasteading.
That's awesome. And thank you for everything you're doing to push seasteading forward. And thank you for your time today. I wish you success in your endeavors.
Thank you very much. Thank you. See you soon. So,
See you online.
bye bye.